Caballero tracking some very busy roads and rails. First, let's get to Storm Team 4's Maria LaRosa talking about what we're seeing right behind us there, Maria.
It's a mess right now. So let's tackle the next, say, hour or two, because we mentioned the threat of severe weather. Yes, this blob of red you see over the city, Brooklyn, Queens, this was associated with a severe thunderstorm warning. It's allowed to expire, so we don't have anything warned yet. But all of that red, we're talking 2+ inches an hour rainfall rates with this. So it is coming down right now from Brooklyn, Queens, pushing into Nassau County. Gusty winds embedded in this as well, as high as 50+ miles per hour. So we're going to keep an eye on that. You see this all rotating through. We're in the 40s now. Still that steady heavy snow north of I-84. All of this over the next hour or two, pretty much wrapping up. And what we're going to be left with behind all of this will be the snow shower chances and those temperatures dropping. So yes, what you see right now, it is not going to be as mild as we get into the midday. We showed you that shaking camera. Winds still gusty today, 30+ miles per hour throughout the afternoon. We stay in the 30s and finally begin to dry out, and we'll start to clear out tonight. But with those feels-like temperatures dropping into the teens, I'm going to break down the wind threat and, of course, take a look at that coastal flooding concern, too, coming up in just a bit. All right, Adele, slow out there.
Definitely slow. We're already seeing plenty of street closures for flooding and accidents. And as Maria noted, you know, with the rain coming down, the roadways are slick. Be very, very careful out there as much as possible. You want to stay off of them. Right now, Major Deegan Expressway southbound is shut down between exit 7 and exit 6 for flooding. We've got a couple of accidents now right on 9W. Heading both ways, all lanes are shut down. Sage Road out to Clinton Avenue, and then in New Jersey on Route 46, all lanes are shut down here. Westbound Wolf Road out to Sandshore Road. And as a reminder, we do still have plenty of track work and delays out there, so double check before you head onto your subways. Michael, back to you.
I'll take it, Adele. Thanks so much.
So we had Gabi Acevedo, Mark Santia. If you watch them, you can just see they are in the middle of some really whipping weather there.
The weather part of it, the rain, the wind, the snow, it's all the worst of it now in the next couple of hours, and that includes the coastal flooding aspect. The good news is this is literally one high tide that we're really concerned about later on this morning for a lot of places. So we do have the coastal flood warnings, especially from New Jersey in and around the city and Long Island, where it could be moderate to major. We're in that moderate category for Perth Amboy and Sandy Hook, with that high tide peaking in the next half an hour to an hour or so. Riverhead under that major stage. This comes with that high tide at 10 a.m. and moderate really for much of Long Island Sound and in and around the city from Great Kills, moderate, Kings Point in that moderate range you can see over the next couple of hours. So after that, the winds shift out of the northwest. It pushes that water out, and so we are good to go as far as the coastal flood concerns as we get into the later part of the day. What will be tricky too, the temperatures. They're dropping into the 30s by midday. We'll be below freezing tonight, so we're concerned about the freeze. You can see where we're headed midweek, but watch that by Friday, back to highs in the 20s where we stay for a while. So we'll keep an eye on that, of all the details, and a next storm to watch too in that 10-day forecast.
Maria, thanks so much. Well, let's take another live look before we take.
If you're hopping onto the Major Deegan Expressway, all lanes are shut down southbound, exit 7 out to exit 6. Heading out to Long Island, or rather on 9W, Sage Road out to Clinton Avenue, also shut down on the southbound side for an accident. And now out to Long Island, all lanes shut down here as well. Route 347, New Moriches Road to Moriches Road. We will keep you posted on that and much more.
So it's messy out there. We still have the weather happening, right? That heavy rain and the heavy snow. And of course, you've probably heard the wind outside as well. So we're looking at the wind advisory. Those are the areas that shaded in brown. Not everywhere, but we're all in the gusty winds. This is just where we meet that criteria of those gusts that could be 40 to 50 miles per hour. Where we have that high wind warning through this morning is eastern Long Island. So Suffolk County, where those gusts could still get to about 60 miles per hour. This too, the time frame is later this morning, so we're starting to see the worst of the conditions really peak when we're talking about the rain, the snow, the wind gusts. Now, it stays gusty all day, just keep that in mind, but when we're talking about that 50-60 mile per hour range, that's really over the next few hours. Here's where we stand currently. They are driving winds mainly out of the southeast, and that's key when we talk about the coastal flood concerns, because that's how we push the water into certain spots. And you see how it's funneling down along Island Sound, and that's why we have some of the bigger concerns for those areas, and the south-facing shoreline, too, for Long Island. That's where we have the coastal flood warnings, including Monmouth County, too. where we could see water 2 to 3 feet above what is normally dry ground. As I mentioned, again, the good news here, this peaks for this next high tide, and then that's it. The winds then turn out of the northwest. It pushes the water away. So this is not a prolonged coastal flooding event, but obviously moderate to major flooding in a lot of those places, coastal flooding. All right, what about the rain flooding? Here's the good news, too. We're looking at the heaviest and steady rain really beginning to wind down. It's pretty much done for Monmouth County, where you had that severe thunderstorm warning earlier, central and South Jersey. We're still seeing some of these heavy bands embedded in there, those gusty winds for much of Long Island, in and around the city. Socked in with the orange and the yellow. That's where it's 1, 2+ inches of rainfall an hour. Those are the rates. So this is coming down now. If you can hold off on travel, that's a good thing. Still seeing some snow and some freezing rain reported in Orange County, so driving here isn't easy either. But again, timing-wise, this is all beginning to wrap up. Temperatures above freezing now in a lot of places. That may not be the case for much longer. We're going to be wrapped around this system. You can see as we get into the midday with temperatures everywhere close to or just above freezing, so we'll have to watch that evening commute as well. But we also see the shades of blue. We'll be in and out of some gusty snow showers, which could quickly reduce visibility out on the roadways. That goes through at least this evening, and then you see some clearing skies, but it's going to be cold. As I mentioned, the coastal flood concerns we'll be watching, and the occasional snow showers over the next few hours. We do get the clearing skies heading into tomorrow, but it is going to be cold, so watch those icy spots. Today, Adele, what are you watching out there?
We've got plenty going on, of course, and I really can't stress enough, we've got lots of flooding, accidents out there. The roads are not ideal to be driving on. As much as possible, you want to stay off of them. As of right now, 347 westbound between New Moriches Road and Moriches Road is closed. If you are heading a little further along here, we're also seeing a closure on the major Deegan Expressway southbound between exit 7 and exit 6. Also on 9W both ways. All lanes are shut down. Sage Road out to East Clinton Avenue. That's for an accident. We've also got an accident in New Jersey on 46 westbound side. All lanes shut down here as well. Wolf Road to Sandshore Road, and the Verrazano Bridge upper level is closed because of those windy conditions out there. You can also expect to see speed restrictions on all of your bridges. So as much as possible, again, be very careful out there and stay off of the roads if you can. We're going to send it back to you, Darlene and Michael.
All right, thanks so much, Adele. 416, our team coverage continues.
Our Gabi Acevedo is right there. Adele's been watching the roads and rails. Maria, just a question for you. So this is something we experienced in Sandy to the extreme. It's the moon, right? The position of the moon and the high tide.
It's one of those things. It's the wind direction, the astronomical high tide, which is always a little higher anyway, and the timing of all of that happening with the heaviest rainfall, too. So it's making everything a little extra.
Right.
So that's why we're seeing the high water levels and expecting them that next high tide cycle. We're starting to get some snow reports in, too. You've got the wind chill factor. It'll feel like the teens, and, of course, everything will freeze over. So we'll watch that really carefully.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, what's happening, Adele?
There's plenty happening, of course. You know, it's really...
Caballero's tracking roads, rails, and everything you need to know before you get out the door. Also doing that, Storm Team 4's Maria LaRosa. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a mess out there. Let's give you the big picture. I mean, you get a sense of it right there. It is winding up and wrapping up and out of here. That's the great news. We still have a bit to go, of course. Let's show you some of the more difficult spots here. It's pushing out of the city now and into the Hudson Valley, Westchester County, Rockland County. That orange and red indicating heavy, heavy rainfall coming out of Queens and Nassau County, too. Along with that, from the Suffolk County, some embedded areas where we've seen the extra gusty winds. We don't have any warnings out now, but there were times where some of these cells were reporting gusts over 60 miles per hour. So this is pushing northward and out of here. Temperature-wise, we are still above freezing for now, but temperatures are going to continue to slide. As far as the steady, heavy rainfall and the snow, you can see that really begins to wrap up just in the next few hours, and we'll sort of be stuck in some of these intermittent snow and rain showers. All day gusty, though. We're right now the city reporting a gust of 43 miles per hour. That will continue into the afternoon and evening, so blustery. But look at the temps getting back into the 30s and slowly falling towards freezing as we get into later this evening, as we start to dry out and eventually clear out. But those winds will be a huge problem. Along with that coastal flooding. I'll have more on that coming up in just a bit. All right, Adele, a mess out there for sure.
Yeah, definitely a mess. And, you know, Michael said as I have been saying, stay off the roadways as much as possible. There's plenty of flooding. The roadways are slippery. They're wet. So if you don't have to be driving, you definitely don't want to be. Right now, Major Deegan Expressway southbound is shut down between exit 7 and exit